Hello, so this is the third vid for the first lesson in the quadratics pack, the updated 2023 version. So it says uses of completing the square. So completing the square is ridiculously important. It tells us so much information. And you might have done this at school, or you might have forgotten. But it gives us the vertex at the bottom or the top of the graph. And it comes from this value and this value. But if you look, you change the sign here. Comes from when you rearrange it to solve it, but it goes on the other side. So the minimum value, if it's a U shape, so if A is positive, so like 2x squared, you're going to get a U-shaped graph. So you're going to be looking at a minimum value, and that's at the bottom of the graph, which is where you're, well, give you the x value here, haven't they? So x is minus p, but it has a value of q. So if a is less than 0, if it's minus 2x squared, it'll be an n-shaped graph. So that's a maximum. So I've got a minimum and I've got a maximum. It talks about the line of symmetry. So that lines up with where the vertex is. Because you could draw a mirror line, couldn't you, straight down like that. So there you go. Vector translations, we'll talk more about those, but they link to the vertex as well, because you're just moving the bottom of the graph from 0, 0 to whatever it is. Right, so let's have a quick look at this then. So it says, state the coordinates of the vertices, and state whether it's max or min. Right, so the vertex is minus 6, 4, so change the sign on that. That's positive, because it's positive here at the front. So it's going to be a minimum of minus 4, 6. And the line of symmetry will line up with the vertex, that middle bit. So the line of symmetry is x is minus 6. So another one here, so the vertex is 5, minus 3. Because of that minus there, it's an n-shaped curve. So it'll give me a maximum point. And the line of symmetry will be at x is 5. So just going back to this graph, if I was to graph it, my vertex is at minus 6, 4. So I've got something where the bottom of my graph would be at minus 6, 4. There at minus 6, 4. So my line of symmetry would go through minus 6. For this one with a minus 2, because it's going to be an n-shaped curve, if my vertex is 5, minus 3, the graph is going to be like that. And that would be 5, minus 3, that vertex there. Right, so there's 2 questions for you to have a go at. So hopefully you can zip through them dead fast and spot it. There. Right then, so this next one, this next example, wants us to put it in completing the squared form and then answer some questions about it. So let's do that. So that's going to be 3 lots of, oops, should do it a different colour, shouldn't I? So it stands out here. X squared minus 4x plus 32. Then 3 lots of completing the square on it. Oops. Look at me, I'm rushing now. So we've just gone back to work. You lot haven't come in yet. Well, you have actually come in and rolling now. As we speak, or as I speak anyway. Plus 32. This is where I find out I've gone wrong somewhere, isn't it? There. Right, so I've got that, that's done, that's in completing the square. Does it have any real solutions? How do we know? So the minimum point for this is 2, 20, and we know because a is positive, so because a is greater than 0, because it's 3, there's going to be a U-shaped curve. So if you think about the graph you're going to get, if the bottom is at 220, there, it's not doing suspicion, then there's no way that graph can cross the x-axis. So if you look, there's no real solutions. The graph lives completely above the x-axis because the vertex is at 220, and because it's at 3, because a is greater than 0, 3 is bigger than 0, it's a U-shaped curve, so it must live all there. Now then, so it says now, it says given that 3x squared minus 12x plus k is 0 has repeated roots, find the value of the constant k. So hopefully from school you remember that repeated roots means that it just touches. Now there's loads of different ways to do this. The completed pack does a very algebraic way. Me, I'm just a bit sneaky. So the bottom of my graph is at 2, 20. And what I want the bottom of this graph at 2, 0. So I want the vertex to be transformed, moved down by 20. So I'm going to move it down by 20. I'm going to take 20 off all my y values. So I'm going to translate it or move it down. So if I take my original function, which was 3x squared, I can't remember the rest of it, minus 12x plus 32, now the bottom of that graph is 20 high, and what I want to do is bring that down. I want to take it down by 20, so it sits on the axes. So I'm going to take off a minus 20 there. So it gives me 3x squared minus 12x plus 12. And it says k is that number. Be a bit sneaky and put the equals 0 back in there. So it tells me that k is 12. There. So I'll show you this one. So the question for you. So that will be exactly the same there. This one might be a bit more mathsy with the way that they've done it. So the minimum point is at 3/2, 6. And you know it's positive. So what they've done here, this writing here, tells you that the graph is greater than or equal to 6, it says. Don't make a lot of sense, that, does it? So because of that, it's all real numbers. So there's no real slide. Do you know what? Draw a picture. Picture tells you that it's 3/2 across, 6 up. It's a U-shaped curve, can't possibly have any solution. And then this one, I think they did it ever so slightly different to me as well, but it's the same idea. So you just see how much do I need to move it down by? I need to move it down by 6. So I'll just take 6 off the 15. That's all. Just taking 6 off that 15 to move it down. Because my k is 9. If you can read it. There. Whew. Now then, do we think that's enough for one vid? I think so. Let's have a look at the next page.